one of the questions is, how do we approach the issues of tackling Islamophobia? Whereas, you've already mentioned, there is no talk about phobia against Christians.
Yeah.
There is no word for it. And it's been around for years and years and years. But it's just considered normal. So how do we confront Islamophobia? Because, again, it's a made-up word, but it's already in the vocabulary and dictionary. So how do we deal with it? Especially when they call us kafirs and heretics.
Yeah. So a couple of things on that. Firstly, the term Islamophobia was made up by Islamists as a way of silencing criticism of Islam. And unfortunately, it has been adopted by our liberal secular society in a deeply hypocritical way. If I was to criticize Sikhism, no one would be calling me a Sikhophobe. If I was to criticize communism, no one would be calling me a commiphobe. If I was to criticize Nazism, no one would call me a Naziphobe. And we've all experienced people criticizing Christianity, but they never get called Christophobes. Mm-hmm. If you criticize Hinduism, you don't get called a Hinduphobe. Buddhism, you don't get called a Buddhiphobe. But if you criticize Islam, you are called an Islamophobe. And people are being, now, today, people are being punished in law, in courts, with prison, for doing something that's described as Islamophobic. Burning a Quran, making an insulting chant about Allah, being arrested for undignified portrayals of Prophet or running into hiding because of undignified portrayals of Muhammad. So you've got this genuine hoodwink that's occurred because of the liberal progressive cowardice, where they fear the Muslim reaction, and so they kowtow to it by giving sop to this narrative around Islamophobia. That inequality in law is becoming entrenched, and we all need to stand against it. There's two ways you can stand against it. One is you argue for freedom of speech and you get rid of the Islamophobia ideas. Or the other one is you elevate the idea of Christophobia. And you go, hey, if they can have this term and it defines a certain kind of action and attitude, then we will also have a term and we'll mirror what they've got. And then every time a Muslim calls us a kafir, we'll prosecute them for Christophobia. Every time they call us a polytheist, we'll prosecute them for Christophobia. If they attack our churches, prosecution for Christophobia. If they attack the cross, a prosecution for Christophobia. And that's the way to tackle it. Now, but we do have to make a distinction between Islam and Muslims. There are people that genuinely hate Muslims. I've met them, I've spoke to them, I challenged them. People that hate Muslims should be challenged. Hating Muslims is not something that we can go along with. It's not something that we can support. Recognizing the threat of Islamists and tackling that is not the same as hating Muslims. And we shouldn't go along with hatred towards Muslims. But hatred towards Muslims, which we should all tackle, is not the same as criticism of and opposition to Islam and Islamification. Those two things are not the same. The problem is that Labour has conflated those two things, and is going to pass a law that conflates those two things so that criticism of Islam and hatred of Muslims is seen as the same thing. That's going to be incredibly problematic. The Labour Party must be stopped. This law is going through, this definition is going through right now. Like, you've got to push against it. It's happening right now as we talk. The Labour Party is making the movements to make this a law. The other thing that, and so again, it's about Christians being political. And about Christians having a sense of our identity as Christians as a political body and standing up for our rights as the Christian peoples of the land. Because it cannot be the case that criticizing Islamic history in 1400 years of Islamic persecution of Christians should be made illegal. But that is actually what the law is going to propose. the definition of Islamophobia that is being proposed would make it illegal to say that Islam has persecuted Christians.
Yeah.
As just one example. And so we've got to push back against this political Islam by having a political Christianity. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It does.